I don't know what else I'm talking about.
I know what, Mike.
Yes, sir.
In your goals as a member of the Chickasaw legislature, in number 4, you said encourage regular pay scale review with increased justifications for Chickasaw Nation employees and Chickasaw appointees. What about the legislature and the elected people?
For the legislators and the elected people, I would like to see a committee formed of Chickasaw citizens who do not hold any position within Chickasaw Nation, so that we can have a fair and impartial determination of what is considered a just pay for what the legislators would do.
Are you suggesting there's not justification for what they get now?
Well, there is a formulary that is very expensive for Chickasaw people. Not many people understand the way it's structured. And at starting at $5,000 a month, that seems a little extreme to a lot of our seniors. It's my opinion that I think we need an independent board to review some of these salaries and benefits.
Any other question?
If you had to pick one issue that you think is most pressing for the Chickasaw legislature, what would that be? The per capita issue?
It's my opinion today we need to establish a realty section. We need to know what the fractionated lands and minerals are, and we need to prepare for the $1.9 billion settlement that's going to all Native American governments. And if we're not prepared, there is a time limit that we may lose out.
Mike, is the Cabell case already been pretty much settled?
The determination on the dollar amount is there. As far as settlements, there's a historical accounting settlement of, I believe, about $1,000 per person. And then there is a administrative settlement, which is, it varies. There is a set amount that is divided amongst family members. And there, I believe they told me that there would be an asset settlement depending on how lands and minerals were separated from individuals.
And where does this settlement money come from? From the federal government?
From the federal government.
Well, our federal government is broke. How are we going to get money from a bankrupt entity?
You might inform me, Mike, that it's set aside already.
What? Yeah, I heard that, but it's still.
If that's the candidate up there, asking.
But it's still.
They'll just print some more money.
Yeah, just print out more money. Okay.
One of the points being, Mike, is that anytime that we have a settlement of federal money, on federal money, where's it coming from?
It's coming from U.S. tax dollars.
Where's that coming from?
It's coming from
Us.
taxpayers,
That's right. It's
which
us.
can be Chickasaw citizens.
Right. See, in the Chickasaw Nation, we're double dipping because when we talk about tribal money, okay, that's tribal money being generated by us, but again, how are we getting it? We're getting it because of what we're contributing also. So we're getting double dipped on a lot of things, whether it be negative or positively. Of course you are, you're a taxpayer.
Okay.
Chickasaw Nation is not a taxpayer.
I'm not talking about Chickasaw Nation, I'm talking about individuals, us.
Yes. Unless we live on tribal allotted lands from our ancestors, then we are taxed just as any normal person is. We have dual citizenship, which is American citizenship and Chickasaw citizenship. But you're correct, we do pay for part of that, and that's the reason I go to the legislator and question these programs. That is money that members of my family are paying, and we need to know how it's being spent, and we need to monitor it well. Any other the question?
How much time do we have left?
He's
Mike?
got 7 more minutes
Oh.
on the hot seat.
Didn't want to get him involved in a long-winded situation and he run out of time.
Right.
You've run for this office several times. Why?
I promised someone I would continue trying to make sure that our government is run well and it does serve our people. The lady that I promised that to, the day that Vacaville Bingo was, the groundbreaking was done, I picked her up out of her sick bed and carried her there. She's the one that told me about the per capita payments, how the elders took care of each other. From her family, I learned our history. I learned to understand the language, even though I do not speak it well. She told me I needed to learn how to account for the money that was there and just to be ready to protect the women.
So, it's always been our duty as men to look after the women. We come from a matriarchal society, which means the women were the ones that elected our leaders. They were the reason we are here, and we were expected to pay them respect and do as they instructed us to. And I think that I'm trying to follow through with what I promised this lady, so I'll do it as long as I can afford it. And I think I can afford it for a couple more years.
Well, I appreciate your tenacity. I hope you achieve your goal.
Well, that was her goal.
Well, her goal.
Do you think the Chickasaw Nation has any accountability?
In the federal programs, yes, there's accountability. In what is classified as Chickasaw funds, I think we need more rules and regulations and not just allow the different departments to say this is the way it is. I asked for some information that should have been public information as to length of terms that people have served, and I was told that I could not have that. That's something I can research on my own through all the Chickasaw Times that my family has, and I can do a calculation on how long each and every elected official has been in their position. And from that, I can extract what their current pay possibly is. I was not allowed to see the resolution establishing the last pay scale. I was told I could come look at it if I wanted to, but I could not make a copy of it. So I simply made a printout based on what I heard at the legislative session. It may be accurate, but it may not be accurate, but it will be very close to exactly what each person made depending on their term.
Should that be made public as to what
Yes.
legislators and people are making?
Yes. And in United States laws, most of your elected officials' salaries and compensation is posted. In Chickasaw Nation, that is not the case.
Due to who?
In Chickasaw Nation, they do not have to post salaries and things like that. There is no rule or regulation required.
Okay.
In United States rules, I believe they require that. And if we ever did a comparison based on the number of hours worked, I kind of think we might be surprised at the pay rates.
So are you suggesting, Mike, that there is no freedom of information in the Chickasaw Nation?
In my opinion, there is not.
What would you do about that if you were elected?
I would do my best to work with the legislators that are there and try and convince them that we need to have more open information laws.
Mike, do you think that a salary of $100,000 for an elected Chickasaw official, is that justified?
Depending on which elected official you're speaking about,
Why which?
well, if it were in the executive branch, I can see our two top officials making more than that, but I can see that that amount would be sufficient, or should be sufficient for that position.
I'm not quite sure what you said, but I suppose
Okay.
you're a politician, so it's okay.
It's my opinion that I think a person should be able to live on $100,000 if they are truly wanting to serve their constituents. Or I'd say a lieutenant governor could make $100,000 and do a good job. I think the governor probably should, that position should be paid a little more, and there should be some kind of compensation, just like the federal government does, for a number of years after they serve in the position of president. They receive a salary. I believe the lifetime salary has been discontinued in the United States, but I'd have to research that again.
Has there been any discussion of term limits?
That was one of the issues I always brought up, but no, the last time the legislators did any action with term limits, there was a survey and 95%, I believe it was 95% of the responding Chickasaws wanted to see term limits, but it was never put to a vote of the citizen.
Anybody ever heard of an initiative petition?
Yes, sir. And most initiative petitions require that they're filled out within the boundaries of Chickasaw Nation, within specific districts, or if it's to affect the entire nation, over all 4 districts. To get the required number of signatures, first you have to know how many people voted in the last election, and basically they do not give us all that information from the election department. I have sometimes I can figure out approximately how many people voted by talking with other candidates. I have tried getting petitions together, but I've always fallen short of the required number.
Mike, the things you're pointing out and the questions that have been asked also, don't you think there's some sort of governmental or tribal reform needed on a number of things?
There are quite a few issues that are, yes, concerns within Chickasaw Nation that need to be addressed and put before the voting citizenship of Chickasaw Nation. It's my opinion that I would put the question of the tribal gaming law before the citizens.
Thank you, Mike.